a TV adaptation of J.K. Rowling's first novel, not to take place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, looks interesting. Hello YouTube, Film Buff 06 here, coming your way with a review of the most recent TV adaptation of J.K. Rowling's first move into adult fiction in 2012, since writing the Harry Potter novels, The Casual Vacancy, which was initially broadcast on BBC One between the 15th of February and the 1st of March 2015, was adapted for the small screen by Sarah Phelps, who had previously written TV adaptations of The Crimson Field, and then there were None and Great Expectations, and also wrote over 50 episodes of EastEnders. Was directed by Jonny Campbell, who had previously directed the Doctor Who series 5 episodes, Vampires of Venice and Vincent and the Doctor, and it stars Rory Kinnear, who is set to reprise his role as Bill Tanner later this year in the upcoming James Bond film Spectre. Michael Gambon, Julia McKenzie, otherwise known as the most recent incarnation of Miss Marple, Rufus Jones, up-and-coming child actor Abigail Lawrie, Simon McBurney, not McBurnley, as I have incorrectly pronounced his name in the past, Keeley Hawes, who is probably better known for her role as Alex Drake in Ashes to Ashes, alongside Philip Glenister's Gene Hunt, and actually also featured as the villain, Mrs. Delphox, in the Doctor Who series 8 episode Time Heist. Yeah, Monica Dolan, who featured as Anne Boleyn alongside Jonathan Rhys-Meyers' Henry VIII in The Tudors. Emilia Fox, who at the moment is the lead, who nowadays is the lead in Silent Witness, and Silas Carson, who if you don't know him, not only did he voice some of the Ood in Doctor Who, and Kublak in the Sarah Jane Adventures, but he also voiced Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi and Viceroy Newt Gunray in the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Now, J.K. Rowling apparently based the original book on her own unhappy experiences of living in a, simple, sort of narrow-minded village when she was a teenager. Now, for those of you who haven't read the book, the story of the casual vacancy is basically Broadchurch meets Midsummer Murders meets Hollyoaks without the homicide, and it takes place within an English village called Pagford in the Cotswolds, which, underneath its seemingly idyllic, exterior, is actually a town at war with itself and is rife with issues of drug addiction, prostitution, rape, incest, domestic abuse, racism, class relations, and political corruption. Now, when Barry Fairbrother, a member of the local council parish, played by Rory Kinnear, dies suddenly from a brain aneurysm, an election then goes underway to find out which villager will take Barry's empty seat on the council, thus the casual vacancy of the title. And thus battle lines are gradually drawn as the future of a beloved community centre called Sweet Love House, which was bequeathed to the village years ago by a local toff named Lord Phineas Sweetlove, for the enjoyment and betterment of the people of the fields, is under threat when the greedy Mollison couple, Howard and Shirley, respectively played by Michael Gambon and Julia McKenzie, scheme to cast out junkies, drug addicts and plebs by redeveloping the centre to make way for a luxury hotel and spa to attract whom they perceive to be the right sort of people. That includes aristocrats and snobs like themselves, and a mysterious ghost writer intends to expose some dark and unexpected revelations amongst all the villagers. Now, for starters, I've never read the book, therefore I can't really compare this mini-series to the book to make an opinion. So I'm going to judge this mini-series on its own merits and whether or not I think it works as a legit adaptation of its source material. With that said, what are my thoughts on the casual vacancy? In my honest opinion, I thought this series was brilliant all round. I mean, why can't the BBC put out, compelling TV dramas like this more often? I mean, because, for example, most of their sitcoms nowadays, except for Mrs. Brown's Boys, of course, are total rubbish. Strictly Come Dancing is decent enough entertainment. The last series of Doctor Who has been brilliant but controversial in the eyes of some fans anyway. And of course some of their period dramas of the past and present, like Pride and Prejudice, David Copperfield, North and South, Call the Midwife, Ripper Street, and even the Musketeers, Atlantis, the Musketeers, even though that is a family show, stuff like that have actually been quite brilliant. But of course, I digress. So, yeah, I absolutely loved the cinematography in this. It showed off, the rural countryside of and the beauty of Gloucestershire, where it was shot, gorgeously, and it was very similar, and I thought it was very similar to Broadchurch in some areas. All 3 hour-long episodes I thought were very well paced and grabbed my attention throughout without ever boring me for a second. The music, courtesy of Solomon Gray, especially the opening theme, was just beautiful. I thought Sarah Phelps did such an excellent job adapting the book with a well-written, witty and clever screenplay. Jonny Campbell's direction of this miniseries was, in my opinion, outstanding. Most of the characters are stereotypical and unlikable at heart, but they do receive as much substantial character development as those you'd expect to see in a Martin Scorsese film, especially Crystal Whedon, who it has to be said is the most interesting, the most likeable, the most compelling, and the most complex character in the story. Now, one of my favourite scenes of this miniseries is where Parminder Jawanda, who is the black social worker, publicly humiliates Howard at the dinner party during the second episode by, openly criticising his hypocritical views and opinions of of so-called junkies, drug addicts and plebs, his weight, and even his eating, and even his extravagant eating habits, which I thought was just cleverly well written and just hilarious. Another one of my favourite scenes from the same episode is when Howard begins to become haunted by the sight of Barry's ghost, and a figure sort of akin to the Grim Reaper or Death in a way, which features really fantastically dark visual imagery, and it almost reminded me in a way of a 70s horror film, like for one, the original Amityville Horror. And yet another one of my favourite scenes is towards the end of the final episode, when Shirley finds out on her laptop what Howard has been secretly up to behind her back, courtesy of this teenage kid named Arf, who secretly managed to record everything, and feeling quite shocked and betrayed by this, shows Howard the obscene footage whilst he's in his bed, thus causing Howard to have a near-fatal heart attack. I mean, that was just such an epic scene where, in a way, the bad guys do get what's handed to them, do get their comeuppance in a way. Most of the performances were top-notch, even though some of the cast members, including cast members like Emilia Fox, were sorely underused, with the two standouts being Rory Kinnear, who is brilliant, who does a brilliant job as Barry, despite the fact that his character gets killed off halfway through the first episode and becomes, really important within the context of events that happen in the story. And Abigail Lawrie, whom I could not only see being nominated for a BAFTA TV award in a couple of months' time, but whom I could also possibly see going on to having a very long and just brilliant acting career. I mean, her performance as Crystal Whedon was just nothing short of amazing. Was nothing short of amazing. I mean, short of amazing. That is the only word. That is the only word I have left to describe her performance. Just amazing. Just fantastic. Also, in my opinion, most of the supporting cast, including Keeley Hawes, also did a superb job with their roles, especially Michael Gambon and Julia McKenzie, who actually managed to make their characters enjoyably despicable to watch on screen, as if they've been ripped straight out of a, live action Looney Tunes sketch. Yeah. Now, to all those people who have been, bitching and moaning recently about, how the BBC apparently, to all those fans of the book who have been bitching and moaning recently about how the BBC apparently changed the rather downbeat ending of the book to soften the emotional impact. May I remind you that yes, they changed the ending, but they did this with Rowling's permission. She is credited as one of the executive producers on this project, which means she personally oversaw what the BBC were doing with the story, and she seemed to be quite happy with the result, with how it turned out in the end. Plus, you're forgetting that this is only an adaptation, and changes like this have been done countless times before to other adaptations of literary works in the past, like the Harry Potter series and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, to name a few. Anyways, what I thought of the ending was that it was bittersweet without being too depressing, but also shocking at the same time, and one I did not see coming at all, whilst not quite having the same emotional impact as a series finale to Broadchurch, if that makes any sense. I actually genuinely thought at first that, spoiler alert, the sweet little kid, the sweet little 3-year-old kid, Robbie, was going to die by drowning in the river, but once I saw shortly later that Vikram, who is Parminder's surgeon husband, had actually managed to luckily save Robbie's life in order to take him into care, I was even more shocked to find out that it was actually Crystal who died in the river. I mean, wow. Just, oh my god. That's all I can say. So, all I can say on this matter is that the BBC changed the ending of the original book, in my opinion, for the better. Now, if you didn't tune in to BBC One for the last 3 Sundays to watch The Casual Vacancy, and you really want to catch up on the series, and even if you are a Harry Potter or even if you are a devout Harry Potter or J.K. Rowling fan, I would highly recommend that you either go and check out The Casual Vacancy on BBC iPlayer, where in fact it's still playing at the moment by the time I'm recording this video, or you can wait until it comes out on DVD. So in conclusion, my overall rating for The Casual Vacancy, it's going to be a 9 out of 10. Now, feel free to leave a comment in the section below and let me know your thoughts on The Casual Vacancy, the book or this TV miniseries. Plus, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And until my next video, which is going to be a review of The Informant with Matt Damon, do take care, everyone, and goodbye.